What's going on, everybody? Gunner here. Long story short, yes, I have new spectacles, and that means one of two things is going to happen. One, I'm going to tie the greatest looking flies of my life because I can finally see. Or second, I'm going to realize my flies did not look as good as I thought they did, and I have a lot of work to do. But all jokes aside, today we are talking eyes. More importantly, we're talking about eyes on big flies covered in deer hair or synthetic if you'd like. But this is something I have been trying to accomplish for like 5 years. Like, how do you get eyes on a Buford or a bulkhead or a Strung Fuzzy Fiber bulkhead without distorting the shape while being able to pack around them while having durability? And I think, by golly goodness, look at this, it is the solution. So today on Bramer's Custom Flies, we're putting eyes on a biggin. So before diving in, I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who joined me on Patreon this week. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's basically a way for you guys to support me, support the channel, and support what we're doing. I've tried to set it up in a way so that I am giving to you guys everything I can, do some live Q&A, do some behind the scenes, do some, trial and error and showcase things that failed in designs, do a lot of more workarounds, some live fly tying, some private lesson type stuff. So feel free to jump on there, join the community. It's just getting started, but it's going to be fun to run with that for the whole fly tying season. I'm pretty excited about it and see where we all end up. So huge thank you to everybody who did that. For you guys who are currently watching, if this is not the biggest fly you've ever seen, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button because you guys are my people, right? This is a 16-inch monstrosity. So what I want to talk about is getting eyes on a Buford-styled bulkhead. It could be with bucktail, could be synthetic, could be deer hair, however you want to pack it, on a truly big fly platform. Could be 10, 12, 14, 16 inches, whatever you want. I'm going to demo a long custom shanked Buford with a dropper hook, and that's what I'm going to demo this head on to give you guys what's going on so that we're all on the same page. All right, guys, so this is what we're working with. This is the solution that I've been waiting for. I think it's pretty cool. So what we have here, these are the new posted dome eyes from Hareline. Now, posted dome eyes are not new. They've been around for a long time, especially through EP. He uses these on most of his designs. The whole point of them is that the post gives you like extra surface area for adhesion, right? So you coat that whole post in like E6000, shoved into a big synthetic bushy head, and now you don't have just the back of an eye, but you have that entire surface area, circumference, plus depth to get much better adhesion and life out of the eye. One of the problems with that, though, is it's still not going to work super well with Bucktail, with Bufords. It depends on how you build the head and how dense they are, how far back they're sent to fly, a bunch of different things. And I wanted to come up with basically a hourglass, like lead eye style eye that is tied onto the shank and then packed around instead of pushed in afterwards. And so what we've done here is we've used the post. We've shoved it into junction tubing from the tube fly steelhead world to create basically a flexible dome or flexible post holder that the eyes don't suck out of. Now, of course, you can cut these posts down. This is a hugely wide head. It does happen to be how wide this head is, right? This fly is massive. I don't know if you realize that. This fly is friggin' huge. But you can cut these posts down, and you can, significantly shorten that distance between them, and you can even use the smaller sizes. So a few specifics here before we get into tying. You can find this stuff on my website. You're gonna see large junction tubing, which pairs with the large posted dome eyes. These two work perfectly together. They friction fit perfectly. You will not get these things to pull out if you put it on right. These things are going to be on there for the long haul. It's a pretty slick system. You'll also find the small junction tubing, which fits the medium posted dome eye. The medium, here you go, the medium does not separate. Perfect friction fit, just like the large. And that's going to allow you to get eyes on like, 7, 8 inch flies, nice bulbous heads that just tie right into place. You pack a bunch of Strung Fuzzy Fiber on there, or SF blend, wrap a brush, stack some deer hair, trim it in place, and now you have eyes that aren't going anywhere on your fly. I'm not gonna lie though, the small junction tubing is really finicky to get on there. You can do it. You're not going to want to do it at a commercial level, but you can do it. So without further ado, let's tie a big old musky single and get some eyes on it. Let's do it. Now I am going to fast forward and edit through a lot of this. If you guys are new to the channel and you have not seen my bucktail work, I have a whole page on my website dedicated to bucktail, because bucktail, as far as I'm concerned, is the king of all materials. So go check out those videos from last tying season. They will get you squared away on literally every technique you're about to see. Let's do it. So what I'm doing right now is your hackle stem typically runs perpendicular to your fibers. So it's really hard to get them flat on the side. So I'm taking my scissors, which are flat right here, and I'm squishing that stem so that it's good and flat. And I can pin that directly to the side of my shank here and tie it up onto my thread bump and use my fingernail to push it, right where I want it, so that it's right flat and not rolling every time I put pressure on it. All right, we just cruised right through that thing. For all you saltwater guys, by the way, this is just like a really long shank platform to get proper hook position for esox, which are slash and grab type species, which you could find useful if you fish bluefish or barracuda or something, but it's primarily pike and muskie. Obviously, these are bucktail saltwater, hollow tie bucktail techniques, so take it for what it is. But if you're gonna apply these eyes onto a saltwater bulkhead or beast fly on a short shank, big water, blue water hook, something like that, ignore the whole dropper shank thing. It's just for demo. So I have size large, and I've already done this, but what you would do, the whole point of this is to do a tutorial, I suppose, but you take the size large, which are pretty big, they're like 9mm. You're going to cut that post back. That's not what I was using, and it didn't work. You want some nice flush cutters. You just chop that post up, move it back. You're going to take the large junction tubing to fit the large eye, and you just push it on and get it started. And it's tight, and you want it to be tight so that it doesn't just fall off of there, right? It can't. It's quite difficult to get on. You shove that all the way on, and there's your eye. And you're going to have to, push and pull the tubing. You can pull it with your fingernail. It's probably the most helpful way once it's on there. And look at that, it's sucked right up to the eye. You'd cut it, put the other eye on, and these things are on there. Like, they're pretty hard to get off. A fish ain't gonna get them off. They're gonna be on there a long time, which is sweet. So I got one rigged up, basically like dumbbell eyes, and I'm gonna put it right back here. I'm gonna put it on top of the hook, and I'm gonna figure eight that the same way that you would, get out of there, lateral line flash, lead eyes, but it's on top of the hook shank. So you're literally just tying it in the same way you would tie in lead eyes or anything else. You're going to put figure 8 wraps over the top, both directions, so it comes out perfectly perpendicular. You'll put wraps underneath to help secure it. Make sure it's got good tension on it. Now, don't wrap down as tight, like if you take like 150 strand GSP and you suck it down, like you might just cut right through that, right? But at the same time, you can also just cut right through lead eyes with that thread. So like tone it down a little bit. It's kind of like tying in rubber legs. Like tight enough is tight enough, and it ain't going anywhere. So make sure those are level, horizontal, however you want them. The glue doesn't actually work on the tubing itself, but it will work on your thread to make sure your thread can't slip against the hook or come off of there or do whatever. I'm going to put down a thread base for when we get to spinning here. And it is going to be tricky to work around them, of course. Everything has some pros and cons. But we're going to stack this basically like deer hair. If you have deer hair experience, that's going to help you a ton. But basically what you're going to do is when you select your deer hair now, or your bucktail now, you're going to come into this lower third region. This has the most trapped air, the most flares, the most responsive to puffing out and creating that bulkhead silhouette. And then to get our darkened kind of contrasting head that you see with this guy, you see how that's nice and dark in contrast. That was a different tail, but you use the back, and this lower section right here is basically deer body hair, primo length, like 2.5 inches, perfect for making a muddler Buford bulkhead style finish. So let's do that. Gonna grab that lower hair where it's really gonna be responsive. I'm gonna stack it top and bottom. I'm trying to, basically I would treat it like you would tie a deer head and collar on a sex dungeon. But we're gonna keep these butts in there. Suck them down, suck them down. I'm gonna kind of shove my thumb into it and get a little messy with it because I can. Really let that flare. Take another stack. Put this one on the bottom. Try to keep your butts at the exact same length if you can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically treat this like a bulkhead. I'm going to trim some of these back and out of the way. Get that on there. Get some thread up on it. Make sure those bucktail butts are about as long as these ones. And then I just shove my fingernail on top of that and just manhandle the crap out of it. Because those eyes are going to get in the way. They're going to stop everything from going around the way you want. You just got to... If you want, you can stack it top and bottom, but if you're in the right state of mind, it doesn't matter. You just go ham. If I had any advice for you the first time you try this, do not take no for an answer. When you put hair on that fly, you make it go where you want. If it doesn't want to go where you want, it's like, I ain't going over there. You do not accept that. Nope, you're going to try again. You're going to get your butt over there, and you're going to do what I told you to do, because this is my fly, man. I need you to look good. I need you to look good. If you ain't gonna look good, I'll just throw you in the garbage. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Is this chaos yet? Looks like chaos. So again, if you have any deer hair experience, man, that is going to pay dividends. You are going to feel right at home doing this crap. If you don't have any bass bug tying experience, you are going to hate this. This is not going to be fun for you. That is the reality of spinning Bufords. It's basically deer hair work. And that's fine. Totally fine. Every time I took a turn in my whip finish, I caught some butts in there. It's not what you want. It's not how that's supposed to look. Money. That right there is your finished product. How sick is that? A Buford with eyes. Now, of course, I just kind of stacked and packed it on there, right? And you could do whatever you want. You could do a dubbing loop. I got a video on how to do bucktail dubbing loops. You could do stack and pack synthetics like Strung Fuzzy Fiber. I have a bunch of tutorials for that, and I'll keep making tutorials on that. But you know, stack and pack synthetics, dubbing brushes like SF blend brushes, bucktail dubbing loops, or just stack and pack bucktail the way you would basically treat deer body hair to get it in and around those eyes, treating those dome eyes connected with some sort of tubing, in this case junction tubing for tube flies and different things like that, for holding hook eyes and whatnot, or knots, but treating them like dumbbell eyes and getting eyes that won't fall off, won't break and crack. You're not gluing them on there. It's just a near perfect system. They're flexible, they can move, they're not super rigid, and they just make such a nice little black pupil hotspot right at that front of the fly, right where you want it. Oh, it's sick. So you can check all that stuff out on my website, the eyes, the tubing, everything you need. Yeah, and get tying. Thanks again, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.